Hi folks, welcome back to Max Nave Horsemanship and a series that I'm going to call Baby Steps. And I think I've already explained to you why we chose that name. And today, well, I'm going to start in advance. I'm going to apologize for wind noise. I did find my windsock for my mic, so that'll help. But it's a little windier today yet. See, I got my hood up because it's actually a couple degrees, only a couple of degrees below the freeze point, and the sun itself is actually quite warm. But unfortunately, there's enough of a breeze, wind, call it what you want, that, yeah, if it wasn't for that freaking wind, our ever-present wind, it would actually be a decent day. But it's rather windy, so like I said, I will in advance apologize for wind noise. Now, probably not going to show you a whole lot today because, again, repetition of things that we've been doing doesn't really make for good content, and I'm sure that you really don't need to see me doing the same thing over and over and over. But I am going to show you something because I've mentioned before how even a couple minutes at a time, as you have time, can accomplish an awful lot. And that's something that I've been doing is every time I go out to give my mare her meds, I spend a little time with the baby. And maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes at the most. That would be pushing it. Well, I think most days it's only like 5 minutes. But it still accomplished something. And I'm gonna show you what that accomplished. Because in my last video, I was showing you how we were getting her used to the ropes and haltering and how much of an improvement she made in a short period of time. Well, she's actually gotten a lot better since then. Although today might be a little bit more of a challenge, which is okay because there's actually another horse just on the outside of the round pen that's a little bit of a distraction. She kind of likes it, and well, he gets a little concerned when one of his babies isn't around. Yeah, he thinks he's the boss man around here. I got news for him. But the baby also seems to kind of like him and likes to gravitate towards that side of the round pen. That's why you don't see her standing behind me right now. She's hanging out over directly across the fence from the other one that is a bit of a draw. But we'll see how that turns out. That may, in a way, work to our benefit. We might be able to use that to our advantage. We'll see. Anyhow, I'm going to go get my leading halter and the baby and bring her over here and see what we can show you. Well, hopefully we get the same results that we got the last time we tried this, because like I said, every day go out in the pasture, go to see my mare, and we'd spend maybe 5 minutes with this one. That's how we've accomplished this, getting her used to this and everything else. You know, I can even give her a kiss on the nose. Yeah. Something that a lot of adult horses won't let you do. But one of the things we were doing is, well, of course, the halter and the rope. Now I can just throw it on her back. She don't care. If she'll turn around for me. Oh, hang on. Hopefully we can do what we did before. She's a little distracted today because of the wind. And if you don't realize it, sometimes the wind actually will cause problems. Horses naturally get a little wary in the wind. And there's good reason for that. I did a video on that where I talked about how it messes with all of their senses that are necessary for survival. So basically, on a windy day, they feel like their life's in danger. That's a short version. So if it's a little windy out, don't be surprised if the horse acts a little weird. And there's one of the panels, the way the wind's hitting it, it's vibrating. Actually, looking at it, there's two of them doing it. And because they're vibrating, they're making noise. Makes her a little bit more wary. But I want to show you the progress that we made putting a halter on. See how easy that is now? And that was, like I said, a couple minutes at a time, out in the pasture. Just put it on. When she's a good girl, take it away. Simple as that. So when we had to catch her today and bring her in here, I put the halter on so I could lead her in here. And then I take it off as soon as we get in here. And it was a non-event. And just because I spent a couple minutes each time that I saw her, doing a little stuff with her, and just introducing her to the ropes and the halter, and now you see what we get. But I want to talk about problems because, well, already I'm seeing a problem with this horse that has to do with riding. And you're thinking, what the heck could possibly have to do with riding? You haven't even had a saddle on her yet. You're right, I haven't had a saddle on her yet. But, well, something that you've noticed is this little horse likes to be with me. And being that she has been, prior to my working with her, unhandled and untrained and everything else, it's nice that she wants to be with me. I kind of like it that she actually trusts me that much. Again, she's getting a little upset because of wind. The panel over there is making noise. She's moving further that way. Plus, there's another horse over there. Oh, she's coming back to me, though. But back to our problem. And this is something I have identified already. And I'm not quite sure what to do about it just yet. If she was already being ridden, I know how to deal with that because I've had to do it. With a young one like this that's never even been ridden, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do just yet. I'm going to have to figure this one out. And we'll see what happens. But I think maybe as she becomes more confident with herself, these problems are going to kind of go away on their own. But I'm sure you've heard of people that have had problems riding the horse out, and the problems are barn sour, buddy sour, things like that. They're not really sour. This is 100% natural stuff. There's nothing sour about the horse. It's just stuff that they do. And sometimes it's very difficult to ride them out, and they don't want to leave the yard. Now, the reason that they don't want to leave the yard is because, well, their food's here, the water's here, and their buddies are here. And they're familiar with the surroundings, and it gives them security, makes them feel better. They don't want to go out there because they don't know what's out there, and it could be bad. They don't know. And, well, I suspect we're going to have that problem with her because you'll notice that she likes hanging out with me a lot. Today she's more over there because there's another horse standing over there that's got her attention, and given me or the horse, I think she'd prefer the horse. Well, that's okay, but it's still, up till now, what I've been seeing is she gets security being with me, which is sort of okay, but in the end it can be a problem. Like I said, she's not going to want to leave the yard because she's not going to want to leave the herd behind. So when it comes to riding, that's going to be a problem. And at a young age like this, I'm not quite sure how to deal with that just yet. I haven't figured that out because a lot of this is pretty new to me, working with something this young. So you're learning with me. I'm just using things that I already know work and applying them, and, well, you're along for the ride. This is kind of how this is. This is real world stuff, man. I've never done this before, just so you know. And like I said, I'm no different than you. I'm nobody special. So if I can do it, so can you. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing these videos, is to show you that even though I've never done this before, I can do it, and so can you. And I'm going to show you what I know, things that I know that work, or, hey, you might even see some things that don't work. We've already had one of them. But anyhow, you want a horse that is confident on its own. And I've already seen, like when I'm in here, she likes to be with me. If I leave the round pen and leave her in here while I go get some gear out of my car, she gets rather upset. She doesn't like being alone. So that tells me that if she doesn't like being alone, she's not going to like being away from the herd. I'm the only thing giving her comfort, and riding her out of the yard might be a problem. And it's a problem that is years down the road that we don't really have just yet, but it is a problem that's going to happen. And, well, we got to kind of figure out how to deal with it. So I just thought I'd point that out to you. If you're paying attention, you can spot problems before they occur. And same with, I talked about biting last week too. It's, I want to prevent it. keep her from nipping on me, because occasionally, well, she'll nip at my sleeve or my glove or something like that, which is in itself is not a huge deal. But if she happens to bite my finger, you know, it's going to hurt a lot. I know I've been bitten by a horse before. It definitely hurts. You don't want that. So we're going to prevent those problems. And I've also mentioned before how it's important to find the line and don't cross it. And an example of that was a couple of videos ago. I was trying to work with her feet, and that wasn't going well at all. She got pretty upset about that, and I quit. And a lot of people are thinking, well, chicken, you quit. Well, no, I wasn't being a chicken. I was being smart. Because if the horse gets really upset, she might start kicking at things. I don't want her to ever develop that habit, because then her go-to when she's upset about something is going to be to kick at it. And someday that might be me. And I don't want that to happen, that's for sure. So I don't want her to develop the habit of kicking. So I don't want to cross that line, because she just might do that. And, well, that's definitely not something we want happening. So we're going to be very careful. And a few things I've been doing with her. Even today, she didn't want to come to me because she's being distracted by that other horse. So I was driving her and then backing off, like I showed you before when we were getting her used to being caught. I did that again. And I discovered when I got close to her, I could actually take my rope and swing it enough that it was actually wrapping around her front legs, and she wasn't getting excited about it. And I thought, you know, that's pretty good. That means that maybe we're getting close to the point where we can start working on those feet again. And that is something we do eventually want to do. One other thing we do want to do too is get her used to her mouth being handled. And there's many valuable reasons for doing that, and I'm going to talk about them when I show you how we're going to do that. And for that one, I think the wise thing to do would be to put the lead and halter on her, because if you try doing it at liberty, which I don't mind doing sometimes, if the horse, being as green as this one is, gets a little worried and wants to pull away, not much you can do to stop it, and therefore it learns that fussing and pulling away gets it release. It wins that way. That's what helps it get through the day. That's how it survives. That's what it's thinking. And so you got to be very careful the things that you do with your horse and the things that it does, because you know it can learn bad lessons just as quick as it can learn good ones, and you got to be very careful what lessons your horse learns. So just give me a minute, and I'm going to go put the halter on her and bring her back over here, and we're going to talk about handling the mouth. Now, I've never done this before with this one. I have done this very thing before with other horses, but I haven't done it with this one. I have no idea how this is going to go, but you're going to get to see it. And this is what we're going to do. And if it takes days, weeks, months, well, I guess that's what happens. So, anyhow, she's decided to come back. She sees me playing with the rope. She goes, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Well, that's okay. Well, like I said, many times you're going to have to repeat things over and over and over. And if we have a problem getting a rope and halter on her, we're just going to repeat what we've always been doing. It's simple as that. If we have to do it, you know, a couple hundred times, that's what we're going to do. So, fortunately, though, I don't have to chase her very far. She happens to decide to come back just as I want to put the rope and halter on her. So I'm going to put the rope over her. And just so she can't go anywhere, I got a hold of it here. I'm going to put the halter on her. Good little girl. Sweetheart. Yes, she's a wonderful little horse. And this is the results you get. Just by taking your time, go slow, a little bit at a time. She's moving away. Fortunately, I've got a hold of the rope that goes over the pole. So if I have to, I can use it as a lead to pull her towards me, just like this. See how that works. Now, good girl. We're just going to tie it up. Once we get it tied up, then we can start working on the mouth. Because one of the reasons you want to get a horse good with having its mouth handled is in case you ever have to give it oral medication. And I have to do that quite regularly with my own horse. So I personally understand the importance of it, but it's also important to have them good with their mouth and having things stuck in the mouth, so that when it comes time to put a bit in their mouth, if you choose to use one, you can do that. And in the case of this one, one of the owner's concerns is they want it good with the mouth so they can stick warmer in it. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to take my gloves off for this one. Thank goodness it's not extremely cold. It is cold enough I prefer to have them on, but for what we're doing, they'd get all soggy anyhow, and maybe it wouldn't work so good, I don't know. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to step around to this side so you can see a little better what we're doing here. I'm just going to gently put my hand under her mouth like this. I've still kind of got a hold of the lead here, so she can't go too far away. So she's a good little girl. Oh no, she's getting fussy now. This is where being patient and going slow helps. There we go. Good girl. That's a good little Larcy. Now, I'm not even going for the mouth yet. We're just going to get her comfortable with having the face handled at first, because that leads up. You know, everything goes in steps. Everything goes in steps. Now, what I'm doing here, I don't know if you can see on the camera very well, but I'm slipping my thumb into the corner of her mouth. Now you're thinking that's a way to get bit. No, there's a big gap in the teeth right there. That's a safe place to stick your finger in. Believe it or not, there is actually a safe spot if you know where it is. But that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to slowly get my finger in there. There we go. My thumb is in there enough that she's trying to push it out with her tongue. And when she stops trying to push it out, I'm going to take it out. We're just going to wait. And this is where a lot of patience is required. There we go. Getting there. Getting there. Almost there. We're almost there. There. Took my thumb out. You see what I did? I just gently, in time, put my thumb in her mouth in a spot that's safe for me to do that. And then I just held it there until she stopped getting fussy about it. And as soon as she settled down, I took it out. And pretty soon, we're going to be able to walk up to her with a wormer or oral medications or whatever and stick them in the mouth without her fussing. I mean, right now, she's still not very happy about this stuff. But this is the first time we've ever done it. Like I said, I have no idea how this is going to... Oh, very good. Good girl. That's a good girl. Oh, no, just relax. Chill out, dear. Chill out. She's not too happy about this. She's trying to avoid and figure out how to get it out of there. And she's going to figure it out when she stops fussing, because that's the answer. Not fussing is the answer. Oh, she's settling down. Getting there. Getting there. Hang on, little girl. Just chill out, little girl. Oh, she's getting very fussy. And this is why I've got the lead in my other hand, because if she tries pulling her head away, I don't want her getting that thumb out. So I want to be able to control the head a bit. There we go. Well, that doesn't work, does it? No. Oops. Oh, she got the thumb out. Darn. Okay, I got to quickly get it back in again. So she realizes that doesn't work. There we go. There we go. Good girl. Good girl. There we go. There. That wasn't perfect. She didn't completely stop fussing, but wow, that wasn't bad. And considering this is the first time we've ever done this with her, it's going pretty good. I'm actually rather impressed how well it's working. You know, and like I say, you don't just go jam your mouth, your thumb in the mouth right away. You know, be gentle with her. Get her used to your hand there on the face, touching her. I get my hand underneath her mouth like that. A good little girl. Yes, you are. You're a good little girl. Yes, a good little girl. And you just do all this stuff slowly and gradually so that she gets used to it. So, if you want a horrible reaction, just go running up to the horse and try sticking your thumb in right away, and you're going to get a horrible reaction. I'm touching the corner of her mouth there. I haven't got the thumb right in yet. We're getting there though. It's slowly moving in. There we go. She's starting to, oh, look at that. Way better already. There, perfect. That was beautiful. That was actually very good. That went so well, I'm sure that if it was absolutely necessary to give her meds or a wormer, we could probably do it. But we're not going to stop there. Remember what I said, if you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other side. So I'm going to move over to the other side. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing over here. But it's the exact same, exactly the same. I'm just going to switch hands. I'm going to hold the lead in my other hand. I'm going to cup her chin with the right hand. Just hold it under there. Nice girl. Rub her a little bit so she realizes that's okay. And then I'm slowly going to slip my thumb in the corner of the mouth. Now I expect, yeah, she's going to fuss a little more on this side because this is new. Oh, that good girl. I'm going to take it away now. What a good little girl. This is working very, very well. I'm surprised, actually. I think this is going to be a lovely little horse one day. I'm actually pretty impressed with how things are going with her. And like I said, don't expect your horse to be this good, but this is one of those many things. If you need to get a bit in her mouth, if you need to give her oral medications, if you need to give her a warmer, you are going to want to be able to do this. And this is a rather old trick that people use to get them to take a bit, is they'll actually, while holding the bit up, they'll stick a finger in the corner of the mouth to get them to open up the mouth enough to get the bit in. But I prefer to, I like doing it just a tiny bit different, is get them to get good with things in their mouth to the point where when you hold the bit up, you don't have to stick your finger in there to get them to open it up, because who wants a wet, slobbery finger every time you got to put a bit in their mouth? I prefer not to myself. But this is going very well. She's still a little wary, and I touch her face, she kind of jerks a little bit. It's okay. I'm going to go back to this side again because you can see what I'm doing. Now my finger is all, my thumb's on the corner of her mouth, and I'm just going to slowly wiggle it in. Get it past there. There, I'm touching her tongue now. She's trying to get rid of it. She's not as violent. There we go, much better. Oh, that was way better. She didn't jerk her head around at all. She tried pushing it out a little with her tongue, but not very hard, and that actually came to an end very quickly. So I'm just going to do this again. Oh, there we go. She's actually resting her head in my hand now. Very good. She knows what's coming. She's not cool with it. That's okay, but this is what you're going to have to do. Like I said, you're dealing with many things. There we go. Thumb's in there. I'm touching the tongue. I actually have my thumb laying on her gums, because like I said, there is a big gap between the teeth in there. There we go. What a good little girl. That actually went very well. I am impressed. So there you go. We just kind of accomplished something there today that we've never done before with this one. And it went extremely well. And since it is actually still slightly above freezing and I'm a bit of a suck, I'm going to put my gloves back on now, because there's even some snow on my lead rope here. And then when it hits my warm hand, it turns to water, and I have cold, wet hands. I don't like cold, wet hands. What a good little horse. But that's not the end of it. We're going to do that quite a few more times, but I'm not going to bore you with it. I just thought I'd show that one to you, and we'd try it out together. Because, like I said, I've never done that with this one. And she's gotten very good about being touched and rubbed and stuff like that. And I'm thinking that since she doesn't kick, the odds of me picking up a foot are getting a lot better. As you can see, I can even run my hand down the leg. I'm not going to go all the way down. That would be silly to do that right now. But she's getting remarkably better with a lot of things. So I'm thinking we're getting pretty close to that point where we can actually start trying to pick up feet again. We can go back to that. And I'm kind of glad that I took the approach that I did, because it told me that it wasn't a good idea to try that just yet. Because if you remember how I did that, I just took my little stick and started rubbing her leg, and she got real excited about it, didn't like that. Well, that's a test to tell you what you're getting into. And in her case, it told me, yeah, it wasn't a good idea. Better not do that. So I didn't. So we decided to work on other things, which included things like throwing ropes over her, and the flag, and the lunge whip, and all that stuff. And she is getting so much better with this stuff now that, yeah, I think she's just about at that point. I'm going to try again, just to test. We're testing, remember that. Give me a minute, I'm going to go get my stick, and actually I'm going to talk about that little stick a minute too. Now, you've seen this little stick before. This is the one I used the last time we were trying to touch her feet, and we were testing. And I'm going to use it again. But before I do, I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned it once before. It's just what's left of an old lunge whip. It cost me zero, nothing. I took a pair of pliers that had cutters on it for wire, just snipped it off to the length I want. It used to be a lot longer. I found it basically like this, except a little longer, and I thought that was too long, but it ought to be good for something. It's got a nice handle on it. So I just snipped it off, and then I just took my rasp that I use for trimming and rounded off the end a little bit. That's it. It cost me nothing. Most of the stuff that I have, that I'm using in the process of training this horse, cost either nothing or very little. My lunge whip is just an ordinary lunge whip. I modified it a little bit to make it more to my liking, but it's just a regular, ordinary lunge whip. I don't recall how much I actually paid for that one, but even if you had to go out and buy a new one now, the prices keep jumping up all the time. I don't know, but depending on where you live, it's not going to be more than 20 bucks anyhow. The flag, like I said, I wouldn't waste my money on one. That is a store-bought one, but the prices they charge for them now in the stores, not worth it. You can make one out of something like this. Just take some duct tape and tape a piece of cloth onto the end of it, and you got a flag, whatever. The horse doesn't know the difference, and it doesn't care. And I have used homemade flags that work just fine. I just happened to have that one because at the time that I walked into the store, they just brought a few in, wanted to see if they'd sell, so I bought one. It was cheap. They're like double the price now. I wouldn't buy one now. And at that time I didn't have one at all, not even a homemade one, so I thought for the price, save my time. Later on I came across some materials to make one that was basically, I made that one out of garbage, stuff that was going to be thrown out. And I whipped up a flag out of that. Cost me all of about 50 cents worth of glue or something to make that one. So you don't need special stuff. There's a lot of guys out there doing DVDs and stuff like that. You got to have their special lead rope. You got to have their special halter. You got to have their special stick. All this stuff. That's a bunch of BS. It's all money grab. You don't need special anything. The only thing I have that is a little bit out of the ordinary is my one lead rope that I don't even use that much, but it didn't cost me much either, and I talked about that one when I did use it. It's a little bit longer, and most stores that sell equestrian supplies don't have appropriate lengths, in my opinion. I haven't seen any. One store I was in, I saw one that was like 36 feet. What the heck you need 36-foot long rope for? And they wanted over $50 for it too, and I'm like, no way I'm paying that. No way. And so I never did buy that one. So, ordinary $15 rope halter. And I'm in Canada. Prices are a little higher here, by the way. You can probably get it for about 10 bucks if you live in the States or something, I'm sure. Same with the lead rope. I'm sure it only cost you about 10 bucks or less, depending on where you get them and if they're on sale. This one is not anything special. I happen to kind of like this one, material it's made out of and length and everything else. Seems to work good for me. It's not bad, but it's nothing special. And you don't need to buy special stuff either. And the only other things that I've got is I've got a few things, things like a hoof pick and stuff like that. You should have too. Even if you don't do your own trimming. I do my own trimming, so I also have a hoof stand, nippers and rasp, that sort of stuff. But you don't need any of that stuff unless you plan on doing your own, which I encourage you to try it. But anyhow, Back to this one. We're going to see if how she is with her feet today, and we're going to test her, just like we did last time. We're going to use this stick, and I think maybe if I'm smart, I'm going to get her used to this stick a little bit by just rubbing on her with it. We're just going to put it on her and rub her back and forth with it and everything else, so that she seems pretty good today considering how windy it is and everything else. Doesn't seem to be having a fit with this thing. It's not bothering her a great deal. She's a little tiny bit concerned about it. I mean, she just saw it out of the corner of her eye. She flinched a tiny bit, but all in all, I'm going to let her sniff it. She's looked at it, touched her nose on it. She's not overly concerned about it. She did back up from it a bit, but like I said, we're testing. And that's what you're going to do too, because your horse is going to be a little different than this one, and it may react to things a little different. It may have no problem with this, but may not like something else. They're all a little different. And you got to test as you go to see what you can accomplish. And that's what we're doing today. Now, ultimately our goal is the feet. You know, we want to get there, but I kind of want to find out what I'm getting into. So I'm going to take this thing. Well, she's better there too. Okay, I'm going to take it, rub it down her leg all the way to the feet. She's pulling the foot back, same as she did before. Now I'm going to get back beside her so that she can't kick me, because if you're directly in front, I've mentioned this before, I just bring her back a little closer to the camera. I remember I mentioned before, if you're directly in front, they can strike out forward with the front ones. The back ones can go out to the side a little bit, and you definitely don't want to be behind them. That could get you killed, even on a little horse like this. So, there we go. So I'm going to try and get a little more beside her so I'm in a safer place. You'll see I'm keeping my hand out in front of me so that, you know, we got a little more, we're keeping her there. We don't want her to turn into me. And I'm going to just slowly move down the leg. She just, as soon as I get past that knee, it seems, that's where the tipping point is. But she's definitely better, but I still think maybe this is not a good idea. Picking up the feet are still not quite a good idea yet. But I think one of these days, very soon, we're going to be able to. And just to check the back end, I'm just going to run down the side here very slowly. You can't see what I'm doing, but yeah. Okay, well, she wants to turn around. That's good. Now you can see what I'm doing here. This is going to be helpful. See if we can just turn her a little bit here. Good, perfect, right there. No, don't move over. But I'm basically, I was touching her. Now she's moving again, darn. Don't want her to move. I was touching her on the flank, or on the back, on the hip, just down from there. And I got down to right about, just about the bottom of the body, and that's when she got a little concerned, which tells me, yeah, okay. But we tested before we tried just grabbing a foot, because that could get us hurt, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to just rub on her a little bit from this side and work our way down slowly until we get a reaction, which I think is going to be right about here, very close to there. Oh, she's doing good. Very good. You know, you saw how far down I got, but I didn't go any further. I didn't go until I got a reaction. But I think I might, just to see what happens. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I know just how far. You see where the brown turns to white there on the back leg? I'm going to bring her head a little so you get a better view. You see where on the back leg there where the brown turns to white? That's about how low we can go. But then she starts to react. But that's okay. That's way better than she used to be. So I don't think I'm going to proceed any further with trying to pick up feet today. But we did a little testing, and we found out that she's that much better. So I think it's just a matter of time. I do eventually want to get her to the point where she can be trimmed. And it's not just about the trimming. It's about, for example, if You know, if she ever gets a cut on her leg or something like that and you got to tend to it, you want to be able to handle it without her freaking out. So it's not just the trimming. There's a lot more to it than that. But that is one of the things that we're doing. So everything we do serves a purpose of some kind. Like I said, just sticking our thumb in the corner of her mouth doesn't seem like a big deal. But that is a big deal. That means that you can warm her, you can put the bit in her mouth, you can give her oral medications, you can do all sorts of things. And you notice she's whinnying a little bit. That's because the other horse, he's now back up right by the fence again, just outside the round pen, so she's a little distracted, which that's okay. I don't mind distractions sometimes. It just means that it actually helps trying to get her attention, because it's like the old saying, you can't fix what isn't broke. I mentioned that, I think, in the last video or the one before that or whatever. She was giving me a little attitude, and that's okay, because you can't fix what isn't broke. So if she acts up, if she gets distracted, that's fine, because that means I can do something. And I can work on that, getting her focus to the point where, you know, if that big guy out there is standing there, she's going to completely ignore him. She doesn't care. She's going to pay attention to what I want, what I'm asking her to do. And that's one of the many, many things that you're doing with your horse. Every little thing that you ask your horse to do is all part of asking the horse to pay attention to what you want. And I don't know, a lot of this stuff seems almost inconsequential, not important, doesn't matter. I don't know, use the word you want. But it all adds up. And it all ends up with the horse paying attention to you and doing what you want. Now, right now, the big guy, he's gotten even closer yet. He's almost right against the fence, because he's a little concerned because one of his little kids is out here on the other side of a fence. And he doesn't like that. That's his insecurity, is he doesn't like it when the little ones aren't around, or even another big one. He gets upset. Yeah, right now he's looking over the other way at one of the other big horses that is in a separate area, because it has special dietary needs. It has to be separated from these ones. There's always these things that you got to worry about and deal with when you got multiple horses. If you've only got one, life's a little easier sometimes, but I don't recommend having one. Horses by nature are herd animals. They like to be in the company of other horses. The more the better. So you should never have just one horse. At the least, you should have two. I know you can't afford one. Well, if you can't afford one, you can't afford two, maybe you shouldn't afford one either. Really. But that's one of those things. They are herd animals. That's just a fact. They are herd animals, and they like to be with other horses. It's mentally good for them. It makes them a little more balanced and sensible. And when it comes to a little one like this, a lot of people like keeping them in box stalls and separate little paddocks so they don't get hurt, blah, blah. No, put them out with the big horses. It's like there's an old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a herd to raise a horse. And there's no better teacher of manners and respect than a bunch of other horses. Putting her out with a bunch of other horses is going to teach her stuff I can't. Now, that's just a fact. That your horse will learn things around other horses that you will never ever be able to teach it. And I've seen it many times over. And sometimes it even seems a little harsh, but if you actually watch close, they're not really being that harsh. I've seen the mares kick at their own babies, but if you look at them, they barely even touched them. They were very careful about how they do it, but they were teaching them a valuable lesson to pay attention, smarten up, don't do this, whatever the situation was. They don't put up with nonsense. So, anyhow, I think that's it for today's video. I'm going to probably mess around with a few other little things today yet, because we need to do some improvement on some things yet, so that we can eventually pick up the feet, because that is a goal we want to be able to do. And she's coming along, she's getting there, but she's not quite there yet. she has made some significant improvements, so we're going to mess around with her a couple more weeks maybe and do this whole test again and see how much of a reaction we get. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. And I might use the lead a little bit too, because this is something you can do. Is your ordinary lead rope is very good for desensitizing. If you have a stick and string too, like I said, you can take the stick and it's handy for throwing the rope over the horse. There we go. I wasn't very good at this, and I'm trying to be gentle because I know she's still not crazy about the ropes. But I also discovered when I was throwing it around earlier that I could even get it a little bit wrapped around her front feet, and she didn't get too excited about it. So we're definitely making progress. And again, you do it a little bit at a time. Just like I said, you saw how good she was about getting the halter on today. Well, that was accomplished at 5-minute intervals. That's all we did. So you don't have to exhaust yourself or the horse when you're working with it. A few minutes at a time, and they can learn a lot. The results can be amazing sometimes. And this one has been doing extremely good. I'm quite proud of her. I don't know what else to tell you right now. Oh yeah, on the subject of the sticks and the homemade stuff and things like that, people have been using variations of sticks for training horses for a very long time. Now we got flags, training sticks, all kinds of stuff, and a lot of those didn't exist. Something that used to exist, a similar thing, is there's something called bamboo training, where the trainer would use a length of bamboo rod. Now, for those of you that are familiar with bamboo, you know what I'm talking about. For those that don't know, I don't know how long it was, maybe a little bit longer than this thing, not a whole lot. But bamboo itself, I would guess they probably used a piece that was about the size of a quarter kind of thing in diameter. But bamboo is quite rigid. It's quite strong and quite rigid, doesn't flex at all. All the tools that I use are flexible. This is fiberglass. The lunge whip is fiberglass. This is a lunge whip, so it's exactly the same thing inside. It's just a thin fiberglass rod. They're flexible. If it bends enough, I'm sure it'll break. My flag is some kind of metal that's springy and very flexible. And I encourage you to use flexible things, no matter what you're using it for. Use something that has a lot of flex to it because it's a safety issue. Back to the bamboo. Years ago, there was something called bamboo training. And instead of a training stick or a flag or whatever, the trainer would use a length of bamboo rod. Now, as I said, bamboo is rigid, very hard, and it's actually quite strong too. And what happened is, well, the guy was using the thing, and somehow the horse got a little excited and kicked out, and it kicked dead on the end of it, and it came straight back, hit the guy and impaled him and killed him. Well, I think that was the end of bamboo training. And that's why I recommend something flexible. That's also why I also talked about quitting before the horse overreacts, like with her and her feet. We don't want her to start kicking at this thing and have kicking become a habit, because kicking can become dangerous, because you don't want her kicking out at all kinds of things, including yourself. So that's why we quit when we did, but we still used a stick of some kind to test, and just in case she did kick, because when we first did this the first time, we had no idea. She could have kicked at it, and by using something flexible, if she did happen to manage to hit dead on the end, I'm not going to get impaled with the thing. The worst case scenario, it's probably going to break. So, better broken than dead. I'd rather go buy a new lunge whip or something, or a new flag or whatever, than to end up dead. I could make a flag for next to nothing. You can buy a brand new lunge whip complete for less than $20. And like I said, this one cost me nothing. So there you go. There's another reason not to have your horse kick. It's a safety issue. It's a huge safety issue. And the tools you use, I did at one time, had a stick equivalent to a stick and string that I used. It was basically a little broom handle, which is solid wood. Not a good idea, and in retrospect, I should not have used that. But that was early on, and I didn't feel like spending the money that they wanted for one in the stores or anything, so I made my own. And I just took some duct tape and taped an old piece of rope onto the end of it that I had laying around. Presto, stick and string. And the horse didn't know any different, and it worked just great. So there you go, folks. I think I'm going to call it a wrap on this video for today. And by the way, I'm not doing a whole lot off camera. What you are seeing in these videos is exactly what I'm actually doing, because usually by the time I turn the camera off, I don't do much more, maybe a couple minutes more work, and I let her go. Simple as that. So you're seeing exactly how much time I spend with them and what I'm doing. Very little that you don't see on camera. And so just so you know, this is the results you can achieve in very little time, real time, what you're seeing on this camera right now. This is what you get, okay? There's nothing hidden. This is not heavily edited. Occasionally I edit out a minute or a few seconds here and there where I got to stop and clear my throat, or I got to go pick up a lead rope or a flag or something like that. There's no point in you watching that. But anything I'm actually doing with the horse, you're getting to see it. Very little that goes on that you don't see, except for, like I said, a couple minutes at a time out in the pasture when I go out to see my mare, and I, throw the rope at her and put the halter on her and things like that. And that's why I've been talking about how a few minutes at a time get a lot done. And well, you're seeing how much time, full time. This is the actual deal, whole deal. This is the real thing going on that you're seeing. And this is how long it takes to train a horse, okay? So, go play with your horse, have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.